What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Athletic Fantasy Football Podcast. Little Week 6 pregame chat. We get you going here, helping you make these start-sit decisions that you've got about an hour to make. Michael Beller and Brandon Funston going to be here with you for the next half hour or so, taking as many questions as we possibly can. Funston, what's going on? You got any, let's see, James Robinson or Marvin Jones? Anyone who's having a nice game for you right now?
Yeah, I got a Marvin Jones. That's working for me. I know it's working for you as well. I wish I had some. I wish I had some James Robinson. I do not. What's not working for me is this, encore stellar performance from Myles Gaskin. After I said that it was a sea change in the backfield and Malcolm Brown was not going to be, getting mixed in there. Sure, I've seen a lot of Malcolm Brown. Maybe it's an England thing. I don't know. But
yeah, it's just proven once again that that's a backfield that maybe you don't want to figure out or bother trying to figure out from week to week. We've got a bunch of running backs that are thrown into starting positions for their real life teams, and that's making them intriguing in the fantasy world as well. I'm sure we'll talk about plenty of them, but go ahead. Like I said, we'll be here for about 25 minutes or so. Get your questions in. We'll get to as many of them as we possibly can. Let's start off with this one, Funston. From Spencer, we're talking a deep league, dynasty league, half-point PPR. We're looking at one of Guyton, Deshaun Jackson, Cedric Wilson, and Higgins. Who are you looking at here with this for?
For this week, Jalen Guyton, Deshaun Jackson, Cedric. I would probably – this is as deep a question as I'm typically going to get. Right now, I'm kind of leaning Cedric Wilson or just going for the big play from Deshaun Jackson. But I think Cedric Wilson keeps popping up each week a little bit, so maybe Cedric Wilson. And then, like I said, if you're just really going upside, Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, right. You're hoping that Deshaun pops one big play if he's the one who you go with, because that's really what he's been. He's had a couple of those deep downfield, one that went for a touchdown, one that didn't. But right, that's what you're going for with Deshaun Jackson. Cedric Wilson seems like he's going to get more opportunities. I would pretty easily rule out Guyton and Higgins in this. Guyton, we haven't seen really any sort of consistent performance from him this season. Higgins, at Browns teams, really, even without Nick Chubb, they're going to want to run the ball. So I think that he's pretty easy to rule out here. I'm going to lean Deshaun Jackson just because we have seen him pop those big plays, and you figure there's going to be some of those opportunities for him against the Giants later today. But I do think that Jackson or Wilson, those are the ones who you're looking at in this one. Let's get to a question from Michael. Michael's been having a tough morning because he's been swapping back and forth Gibson or Henderson in a standard league. We go from the deepest of the deep to the shallowest of the shallow here. You want to start both of these guys. I would lean toward Henderson personally.
I'll lean towards Gibson, but I'm absolutely with you, and that was going to be my response is, man, you're in a really good spot if you're having to sit one of these guys because I have them both in my top 12 at the running back this week. I feel like I want more of that Kansas City Chiefs defense, although, the Giants are, you could consider them a walk in the park as well. So,
right.
And in a standard league, I feel like Gibson might have, if you're just putting the odds on who has a better chance to score, I'd probably lean towards Gibson a little bit.
I think that's fair. I go Henderson just because that backfield really is totally his. And I know that in a standard league that hurts Gibson the least, that he's not getting the receiving opportunities, that J.D. McKissic is stepping in there, but he is getting opportunities, right? And Henderson really isn't giving up anything in the backfield to anyone. They don't have any appetite for using Sony Michel there when Henderson's healthy. So that's what has me with Henderson over Gibson, but agreed. These are two top 12 running backs. There's really no wrong answer here. I guess one of them will have a better day, but this is a tough choice to make because these are both RB1s for sure. Let's get this one from DJ Julio Jones making his return Monday Night Football against the Bills. We got him or Khalil Herbert, PPR flex. I mean, who would have thought that we'd be talking about these two guys as a head-to-head battle here, Funs? I mean, we probably would have thought Khalil Herbert maybe wasn't even going to see the field all year for the Bears, but here he is starting against the Packers in Week 6. What do you like between these two guys?
And here he is getting my thumbs up on this question. Look at Julio Jones has been out. We don't know how healthy he is. He is going against the number one defense in football, a team that's giving up 5.4 yards per attempt, which is almost a yard better than anybody else in the league. So, and we know the Bears, they're basically, you could put them in the bucket with the Minnesota Vikings and the Cleveland Browns, teams that just want to run all day long. Really, it's kind of out of necessity for their rookie quarterback and just kind of trying to keep the game, easier for him. So Herbert had 18 carries last week, and that was with Damian Williams having 16. So the two running backs combining for 34 carries is a ton, and now we know Damian Williams is out. So I got to follow volume here and go with Herbert.
Don't think the script's going to be anywhere near the same as it was for the Bears last week. A game they were up 14-3 at halftime against Las Vegas and pretty much had the lead throughout that game. Do not think that'll be the case against the Packers later today, but I agree with you in that Khalil Herbert virtually alone in the backfield for the Bears today. They do want to run the ball. I'll take him over Julio Jones. How about this one from Phil Funston? Sutton or Cooks half PPR?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Sutton on this one. He's just popped 2 of the last 3 weeks. I guess Cooks is the go-to guy there as well, but I just like tied to a better situation today and most weeks is Courtland Sutton. So give me Sutton.
Better situation, better quarterback, better team. Broncos are favored. Texans are underdogs. Everything lines up for Courtland Sutton to be the guy here. And it's been a boomer bust season for Courtland Sutton, but I think that's just more the vagaries of the game through 5 weeks more than that being the sort of player he is. I do think we're going to see a level of consistency from him the rest of the season, and I like him in this one as well. Alper, speaking for all of us with handcuffed running backs, let's go. His question with those guys, Khalil Herbert or Devontae Booker, full PPR?
I have Khalil Herbert just, I think, 1 spot or 2 spots ahead of Devontae Booker. But again, it's, and they're probably both in a similar situation where they might be trailing, and I don't think that hurts either of these running backs. So
Same.
It's just a matter of, Devontae Booker's just a guy. He's just mediocre talent. And I have just a little bit more excitement for the unknown, a little bit of Khalil Herbert, and what we saw last week, which looked really good. So giving him a slight advantage here.
I am with you there as well. And I think if you told me that one of these games, Giants, Rams, or Bears, Packers, is going to get out of hand and the other one's going to be close, I feel much better about the Bears, Packers game being close. And I don't think either one's going to be particularly close, but if you told me, I think the Bears have a much better shot of keeping it close with Green Bay than the Giants do of keeping it close with the Rams. So that also pushing me toward Khalil Herbert. But even without that, I think he's the better way to go here. Let's get to a question from Dominic. Dominic wants to know about someone in that Bears game, Mooney and Mike Williams, Zach Moss instead. How do you rank these 3 guys in a half PPR format, Funston?
Well, Mooney way down. Mooney, we're staying above Mike Williams. I don't know what that means, but if it means that you're ranking him above Mike Williams, is just a big no on that.
Big no.
And Zach Moss is kind of just taken over a bit in that backfield for Buffalo. Devin Singletary hasn't looked bad, but they look a lot more interested in letting Zach Moss be their main guy. So I'm Mike Williams 1, Zach Moss 2, Mooney 3.
Yeah, I'm with you in that exact order as well. Let's get to this one from B. B wants to know if he can drop Justin Fields in a super flex league to pick up a tight end to play today. Fields QB3, Kyle Pitts on bye. I mean, for me, you'd never really want to drop a starting quarterback in Superflex. You can't go a full season in Superflex with only 2 quarterbacks. If this really is your only opportunity or your only thing you can do here, B, and Funston, I want you to chime on this too, but if I'm looking at either taking a 0 at the tight end position for just this week or only having 2 quarterbacks going forward, I'm going to have the 0 at the tight end position. I don't think you just can't drop a starting quarterback in Superflex leagues.
That was my answer as well. I was going to say just take the 0 at tight end. Don't drop a starting quarterback. One who is not going to get – he has a long leash now. He's not going to get benched for Andy Dalton unless things just go completely off the rails. They want this
I don't even think it's possible. I think the only way Justin Fields doesn't start a game for the Bears the rest of the season is if he gets hurt. There's just no – right? Fields is the future. They've named him the starter. He would have to get hurt for Andy Dalton to start another game for the Bears this season. And you just can't drop a starting quarterback in Superflex. It's just not something you can do. So stay away from that one, and let's just take the 0 at tight end or look for someone else that you can drop this week. Let's get another one from right here we go. Phil jumping in on that Deshaun Jackson long shot plus 330 on the TD prop. Hope that works out for you there, Phil.
I was going to bring up, I'm sure Deshaun Jackson's had a few big plays against the Giants in his career.
Oh, yeah, just a few over that time he had in Philadelphia, I have to imagine. How about this one from Albert? Marquise Brown or Chase Claypool?
I'm Team Claypool this week against my Seahawks secondary. They got rid of Trey Flowers this week. I was just looking it up. Chase Claypool is 6'4". If he's on the outside, there's going to be times a lot of times when he's going up against a 5'10" corner. I think he's going to dominate. We saw him put up huge numbers last week, 130 yards and a touchdown. I don't think those kind of numbers are out of the question again this week against the Seahawks.
Where do you have Marquise Brown then? Just out of curiosity, because
I have him like
21,
22. He's pretty high. He's a solid wide receiver too. I have Claypool at, I believe, 14 or 15 though. So the top of the wide receiver 2 class.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to break down these two guys. I would go Claypool as well, but yes, I would want to find a way to play both of them if I could. Let's get to this one from Matt. Jerick McKinnon or Alex Collins in a PPR league. That makes it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, a little bit, but Alex Collins can catch the ball, and he is basically the direct replacement for Chris Carson. They don't use DJ Dallas and Travis Homer a whole lot, so I'm definitely just going to take Alex Collins because of the amount of times he'll have the ball in his hands.
Starting Alex Collins in one league. In another league where I am not starting him, I'm also not starting Jerick McKinnon on that team because of just some better running back depth in that situation. But Alex Collins, exactly as you said, maybe not quite the player Chris Carson is, but effectively a one-for-one replacement for Chris Carson. And even with Geno Smith in place of Russell Wilson, that's the way that I want to go here. We're not exactly sure how this backfield is going to break down between Jerick McKinnon and Darrell Williams today. We do know what to expect from Seattle's backfield with Alex Collins taking over the lion's share of the work there. I believe Davey's got a question that we talked about exactly on Thursday's episode of the Athletic Fantasy Football Podcast. You've got Allen Robinson, who has done nothing this season and reportedly was a game time decision with his injury. He is active. And then you've got Tyler Lockett, a boomer bust player whose best work happens way deep down the field. No more Russell Wilson, Geno Smith in there. How do you make this one, Funston?
Well, yeah, it's I'm going to go with the guy that's been boom or bust because there's a boom part of it. We have no boom from Allen Robinson this year. So, I'm just going to go with Lockett, but I'm way down on both of these guys. I have them both as – I don't even know if I have Allen Robinson as a wide receiver 3 anymore. But Tyler Lockett's firmly in my outside the top 30 now for me, and that's as low as I've had him in a long, long time.
Yeah, I lean toward Lockett as well. I never thought we'd get to this point with Allen Robinson, but he really has become a prove-it sort of player where we need to see something from him if you have a solid person to start over him like Tyler Lockett. I am starting Allen Robinson in one league, but it's a pretty deep league where we start 2 backs, 3 receivers, and 2 flexes in addition to a super flex spot. And that is a league where I'm still starting Allen Robinson. Most people don't play in leagues that deep. I need to see something from Allen Robinson before I start him over someone along the lines of a Tyler Lockett. Guys in that wide receiver 30-ish range, I think all deserve to be started over Allen Robinson until we see. I mean, forget about just Robinson. Any signs of life from the Bears passing game. We have not seen it through 5 games this season. We got to see something before we can get on board with that. And don't worry about the repeat question, Davey. We don't expect everyone to tune into every single thing we do. We're happy to tackle all the questions that we get on a Sunday morning. Here's one from Tony. It's a little bit of a different question here. Which QB should I trade, Brady or Allen? I'll go first here, Funston. Obviously, Josh Allen is the better fantasy quarterback because of what he does on the ground. Tom Brady sucks every single ounce he can possibly get out of being a throw-only quarterback, and he does so incredibly well. But I would say whichever one you can get a better deal for is the one who I'm trading.
Yeah, but you can get a better deal for Josh Allen. But so what you're saying is
well, you can get more for Josh Allen, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better for the overall makeup of your team. That's not a 100%.
You should value Josh Allen as the number 1 quarterback in fantasy football. You should value Tom Brady like a middle of the QB1 class, kind of right.
Agreed.
So if you can get above that kind of value for Tom Brady, or whoever you can get above the value that we just kind of throw out there, I kind of agree. I would be trying to trade Brady more and really be pushing the GOAT and how many touchdown passes he's thrown and how great he's been, all the weapons he has, because I would prefer to trade him. But get whatever one you can get the better value for.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Let's go to this question from Alper. I like it. Do you I think DJ Moore can keep it up? CMC out. Never trust Sam Darnold fully. I do. I mean, I think that DJ Moore's kept it up his entire career. If you just look back over DJ Moore's career numbers, they've been, pretty shockingly consistent at a high level. And, this is a guy who's played with a number of different quarterbacks in his career. So he's someone who I don't really worry about regardless of who the quarterback is.
Yeah, he's just a really talented football player, one of the best guys in the league at after the catch. And interesting. He went to the same school as Stephon Diggs. Gets a lot of comparisons to Stephon Diggs as well from the University of Maryland. But yeah, I think he's just super talented, and cream rises to the top year in and year out.
Being a Big Ten guy, it's like when with Maryland and Rutgers and Nebraska, really, it's like I pick my spots when to claim them for the Big Ten, and when to be like, they're really interlopers who aren't like true Big Ten members. But DJ Moore and Stephon Diggs, that's when it's like, boom, Maryland, Big Ten school. What's up? Get them in. Absolutely, DJ Moore. He can keep this up this season. Let's get to a tight end filler question here. Conklin, Njoku, or Mo Alley Cox?
I think I'm going to go Njoku, chase the upside. Why not? He's going to have a role today, and if he doesn't do his thing, it's going to be like 2 catches and 20 yards. But you can get 2 catches and 20 yards from all these guys. So why not just go for the big play potential? Mo Alley Cox, he seems like he's kind of making a move a little bit there. He's interesting to me. He'd be my second choice, and then Conklin would be third.
Yeah, it's just hard to get on board with anyone in Minnesota with that narrow tree that they use. And you're right, it's Justin Jefferson, it's Adam Thielen, it's the running back today, Dalvin Cook, and that's it. And then other guys can like grasp for the remaining targets, but it's just hard to want to back anyone there. Like there's some target availability in Cleveland. Odell Beckham just hasn't been the guy at all for them this season. Jarvis Landry going to be back next week, but still out this week, or at least it sure seems like he's going to be back next week. Like there's targets to be had in that Cleveland passing game. And David Njoku has shown us that when he gets the opportunity, he can do a little something with it. So I'll take the upside shot. Absolutely. I'm totally there with you on David Njoku for this tight end question here, Paul. So that's the direction we go in, even with some of the reports of there being some bad weather potentially in Cleveland. It's going to be cold. There was some hail there earlier this morning, maybe going to be a windy day, but still feel like David Njoku has the upside to be the guy that you want to play here. Funston, let's really quickly talk about all those running backs that we've got today. So we got Darrell Williams, we got Khalil Herbert, we've got Alex Collins, we've got Chuba Hubbard, all these guys who are filling in. How do you rank that group of running backs? I think we're going to cover a lot of the questions we still have by just ranking those guys top to bottom.
Yeah, they're probably rightfully lumped all together. Khalil Herbert is my number one of that group. Saw him go over 100 yards on the ground. Big workload. Got a Christian McCaffrey workload last week. I think he had the 5
Hubbard,
catches.
you mean?
Hubbard, yeah. What did I say?
You said Herbert.
Oh, that's because I'm looking at Chuba Hubbard right on top of Khalil Herbert in my rankings. And then Devontae Booker, then Alex Collins, then Darrell Williams. And Darrell Williams comes in last for me because you talked about it, Jerick McKinnon. I'm of the belief that Jerick McKinnon's role is bigger in a complementary role than Darrell Williams' complementary role was to CEH. So I think we're going to see something a little bit closer to a straight platoon. And for that reason, my volume concerns for Williams drops him to the end there. But he's still a viable RB2, back into RB2 in my mind.
Let me ask you about one more guy in there, another 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff, Latavius Murray. How does he fit into that mix for you?
Man, he's behind he's behind Darrell Williams. He's in the early RB3 class. I have him at RB27. That's just kind of as high as I can go with Latavius Murray when I know that his best day is probably 60 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at. And our guy Tyson has just been deactivated again this week, so it's just not happening with him. They're going to continue to go with these old kind of retread veterans here, but yeah, their offense seems to still be working okay. So
it definitely does, and that's just the way it's going to be. I mean, I think that's all you have to assume, the way that Baltimore's going to play it the rest of the season until they show us otherwise. We're going to deactivate this chat right here, right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here this Sunday morning. Good luck with all your lineup decisions. We hope they all go right for you, and certainly good luck with those fantasy matchups that are kicking off in earnest 40 minutes from now. For Funston, I'm Michael Beller. Get with us all day long here at The Athletic. We'll actually be back a little bit later tonight to talk some Week 7 early waiver wire discussion. But have a great Sunday. Good luck with all your games. Let's all go out there and get some W's this afternoon.